Today's show is brought to you by Boat Patana of Boat Avenue and Shambhala, Phuket. For more information on their properties, see the link in the description below. Welcome to Good Morning Thailand. It's Thursday. I nearly forgot what day it was. And here's Jay.
Hello, good morning.
Welcome everybody. Thank you for joining us on the program. So Jay, who's the guy who always asks about our set? Who's that?
The gentleman is called Ken Minohan.
Minohan.
I think that's how you say it. Yes.
He doesn't like the way we've got things set up. So he doesn't like this plant. So what I'm going to do is put the plant there. How's that? Is that better, Ken? Happy?
I appreciate the feedback, Ken. We are actually currently working on our layout. We have some ideas, so hopefully we will start to implement them very soon.
Now let's start with some sad news, and that is the record high again of COVID cases. Some 17,669 new cases today. 261 of those are from prisons. At least those numbers appear to be trending down. Sadly, also today, 165 new COVID-related deaths. On the good side, 9,798 people have been released from care, from hospitals. So, Thailand sort of moving in the wrong directions. Some new clusters have also been announced in the past 24 hours in Pattaya Thani, in Chonburi. It's 142 cases there. In Kanchanaburi, to the west of Thailand, we've got 428 new cases. Suphanburi, chicken processing plant, which has come up with 59 new cases. And in Ratchaburi, factory and a resort have reported a new cluster. So we've got all these clusters opening up around the country, and it looks like the situation is, sadly, not getting better at the moment. Now, if you're up in Bangkok, they are rolling out the vaccinations. Here's some scenes at it's a photo of the Bang Su Grand Station. This is the new railway station in Bangkok. Now, just advice while you just take in what's going on at this particular photo, walk-in vaccination services for elderly people will end this Saturday. Now, they've got walk-in same-day vaccinations offered to foreign residents who are 75 and older for the rest of the week from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. But Jay, would you be wanting to walk into that particular scene?
Absolutely not. I would not send any of my family members there because that just looks dangerous. I don't understand why we can't set up appointments and be better organized for something so important as getting vaccinations, because that just looks like a trap. I think you're more likely to contract COVID than get a vaccine for it.
Yeah, I mean, there's no social distancing, and they're saying we'll just turn up and sign up. And these are people, they're talking about elderly people. In such a clustered area, it probably doesn't look particularly cool there. Yeah. There wouldn't be air conditioning on the outside. So that's the situation, and we do hope that these vaccination centres perhaps get a bit more organised. Let's have a quick talk about the Sandbox, what's happening. Sure. 225 international travellers arrived on 3 flights. Brings the total of people who have arrived during the Sandbox period, which is now 4 weeks, to 12,031 people. About half of those you consider as like proper tourists. 28 Sandboxes have now tested positive for COVID over the past 4 weeks. Now, going to another part of the country, because they've got the Sandbox in Samui Plus, they want to do the same in Pattaya. Of course they do, because it's one of the most popular tourist destinations. Yeah. This is the scenes that you're seeing in Pattaya at the moment. Now, planning for the Pattaya Move On reopening program is still on the go. The Tourism Authority of Thailand has been considering whether to postpone the reopening of several tourist destinations, especially on the mainland, where containing any clusters is much more complex. In Pattaya, the walking streets now being compared to the Walking Dead. The president of the Pattaya Business and Tourism Association says the Pattaya Move On project planning will continue, regardless of the TAT's talk of postponing the schemes. Officials have been eyeing September 1 as the reopening date. The situation is not particularly good there in Pattaya at the moment. Of course, they're part of Chonburi. They've got a lot of clusters.
Yes.
How do you reopen Pattaya? How do you restrict people coming in and out? Or Chonburi or any mainland area?
There's a lot of ways to get into. It's more difficult when they're coming by road. But I'm trying not to sound like a hypocrite because, Phuket opened and I'm from Phuket. And of course, people from Pattaya, people who are living there, who have work there and have businesses there would definitely want it to open. But all we have to do is just look around. Bangkok's gotten worse. Phuket is now slightly getting worse. We have more and more cases every day. Is opening Pattaya the answer, especially right now, where people from Bangkok, which is a dark red zone now, I don't think it would be the right thing to do, but at the same time, I understand why the people there would want it to open.
Of course. The whole talk of, managing the situation, even the Prime Minister saying yesterday, I think there's some comments we got later in the program, it's all going to be okay in 3 or 4 weeks. Sounds a bit like the President Trump in the US, who last year during April said, I think during March said, everything will be fine by April. And I can understand world leaders wanting to try and sort of keep things calm and try and keep people optimistic. But I'm just not sure, with the evidence showing that the case numbers and the number of deaths are growing, whether anybody should responsibly saying everything's going to be okay at the moment, where I don't think that's the case.
I agree. Illusions can only last so long, and all you have to do is see the numbers and you can see what's actually happening.
A quick break on Good Morning Thailand, and so we'll kick off with the local headlines.
A Phetchabun sugar factory closes down due to a COVID-19 cluster. A total of 90 infections. Bangkok police investigate hackers selling stolen COVID vaccine appointments. A driver blames the GPS for his durian truck wedged under Chonburi overpass. Marine police sees 30 kilograms of methamphetamine from a squid fishing boat. In Koh Samui, a bar and club finds 16 COVID-19 infections.
Welcome back to Good Morning Thailand. Tim and Jay here for your Thursday, and we're crossing now down to Samui, who is having a bit of a rough time with their Samui Plus program, not getting perhaps the number of world travellers they would like to attract. Again, it's only a start. Yeah. What is it about bars and clubs around Thailand? Why can they not keep their doors closed? If that's what the government says, close the bars, they've been a source of clusters. We don't want the bars closed, and we don't want people drinking alcohol and getting together in groups, because that is a big cluster problem. In Samui yesterday, 16 people have now tested positive. And this is some scenes at the Bamboo Black Bar in Samui. Now, 16 COVID infections were found traced to one of the biggest clubs that has remained open, it seems, and openly in the eyes of the law. Authorities have put an urgent plea for anyone who attended the Black Bamboo Club in Choang between July 16 and 26 to report for testing immediately, as they're at risk of exposure to the virus. At this place, it looks like they were sort of running a Thai club inside, and on the outside they had some tables and chairs and were sort of running bar for Farang.
Yeah.
But they were doing it like openly, and clearly people knew that these bars are open. They're not the only one, by the way. They're just high profile because these 16 cases have been reported. Here in Phuket, you had the situation with Cafe Del Mar running those dance parties.
Yeah.
And the whole thing in April kicked off with the bars, basically girly clubs in Thong Lo. What is it? And then Pattaya, we had the bars being caught open over the past couple of days. Can't they just understand that their selfishness is causing all these problems for everybody else? These clusters develop, then everybody suffers. So if you want to have a drink, go down to 7-Eleven and buy a drink and go home.
Well, Cafe Del Mar was at least a different type of situation. At that time, there were 0 cases in Phuket. Should they have held an event so close to having 0 infections? Probably not. And that's where things got worse because people from other parts of the country came to Phuket, and that took off. Now, as far as we go for Samui, now that they've opened Samui, plus I can understand, as long as there are people who want to go to party, the clubs will just welcome them in because, they need to make money. And
I get that. But maybe everybody's suffering.
I think they get a false sense of security because they think, okay, Samui Plus, we're vaccinated. Let's just go out because it's open. And like you said, perhaps in the front, it looks like sometimes it even, they close down the shutters and it looks closed, but the party's still going on back doors. I'm not sure if the same happened over here, but yes. Should they be doing it? No. The only reason we're hearing about it is because they got caught because of the infections. But I'm sure it's not just that club. It's probably happening in other places as well.
It certainly is. And around Phuket, there appears to be lots of bars that are opening. And I've driven past a few of them the last few nights. Now, I can understand people desperately want to reopen their businesses. But none of this is helping Thailand cope with the situation. You're just adding to the problem. So I just hope some people just, at some stage, turn their brains on.
Just try to be more responsible,
yes.
I would say.
Jay's acting responsibly. Now, let's talk about fireworks. We'll get enough fireworks, I'm sure, from that. There's been some, I suppose it's a mainstay of any event is the fireworks.
Yes.
But you've got a bit of a different twist to this.
Well, did you watch, there were fireworks in the Tokyo opening for the Olympics, but did you actually watch the drone show?
Yeah, I've seen this a few times at different concerts,
Yeah.
some sort of small drone shows, but
Exactly.
that sort of took it to the next level. Can we have a look at the video?
Sure. So could drones be the end of fireworks is the main question that I wanted to ask today, because due to the growing concerns about pollution and the environment, we could start expecting to see a lot more drone shows rather than fireworks. India and China have already reduced fireworks in their celebration for Lunar New Year and Diwali due to reducing pollution and being more green and eco-friendly. According to Australian media last year, in Sydney, they've tried to reduce the amount of firework displays to reduce pollution and as well to reduce the risk of bushfires.
Okay, the question you'd have to ask is, would these drone shows replace fireworks, or are they just a different type of display? They're pretty impressive, yes. And I just keep on looking at thinking one drone's going to fly into another drone any moment, and it must be very clever software that can coordinate all these drones making patterns in the sky.
Yeah.
And it's obviously something that we're going to see more of, and it's very clever. In that video, they were sort of making a picture of the world.
The world, yeah.
And it's very impressive, but I'm not sure if it's going to replace fireworks.
Well, reducing it could be a start.
I mean, fireworks, they last, 10, 15 minutes? The
Yeah.
smoke that's made from fireworks in 10 minutes would be nothing compared to the city that they're showing the fireworks in the pollution in 10 minutes would be more than the actual smoke. Yeah. But if you want to compare or say that the drone shows are going to replace fireworks, just check this out. So this is fireworks from Sydney Harbour, which is one of the big and I suppose slightly famous fireworks displays in the world. Yeah. And there's some really big ones in China each year as well, where they sort of invented fireworks. But I don't know if these drone shows are going to replace the big bangs. I mean, the noise and the way it sort of gets into your whole body.
Well, I get it. It's an event. But if you think about it logically, it's more green, it's more eco-friendly, it's a lot cheaper. That same money could be used for different parts of the country to improve them, the streets, the roads, public transportation.
The drone pilots would be charging a fair whack to put on a show.
But it costs a lot cheaper because drones can be reused as well. Now, I agree with you. Everybody likes a good firework. We used to have a lot of fireworks here in Thailand for New Year's. So I completely agree with you. Is it completely replaceable? Probably not yet. But slowly and steadily, I think there's a possibility.
Now let's move to Zoom calls and a few big bangs on Zoom calls. have you ever been in a Zoom call and people have started to act inappropriately or speak
Abuse
with foul,
me?
abuse you? I mean, you get
Point
enough.
at me?
You get enough here every day,
Yeah.
but I've never sort of encountered that. But Zoom has become a way of meeting people at the moment, and one of the winners from the past 18 months has been the company Zoom. There's other ways you can have conference calls, by the way. We're not recommending them or anything. But here is a phone call between some employees of the Thai AirAsia and AirAsia company. Check this out.
Opportunity in Thailand. Like Kun Jo mentioned that
What
one
your
day,
question? Come on.
yes.
What
No,
your
it's a great opportunities. Like Kun Jo, like you mentioned that like Philippines can do parcel delivery to Bangkok. So with the large riders, right? Then definitely we have a better last mile capability to deliver the parcels. And with the Asia app coming in,
What's your question? Come on. Don't talk a lot. Too much to talk.
okay.
Well, that's blown up in Thai media. Social media has gone mental over this particular Zoom call that somebody obviously captured and then leaked out. And it shows, it's got a whole lot of the bigwigs of Thai AirAsia and Tony Fernandez. But the person who was using the F word there, which we bleeped out, of course, he's the CEO of Thai AirAsia.
Yes, and his name is Kun Thasapon Bieleveld. I believe he is half Dutch, half Thai.
Okay, so he was using a bit of invective there. But my question is that a bit of a storm in a teacup? Just because people used the F word in a Zoom call, I'm not sure if it deserves the response it's had, but people are really down on this guy for abusing an employee.
It's definitely shocking because he's the CEO.
Shocking?
Well, if you think about it, like, I don't know what his relationship with his employees are. Now, you could see Tony Fernandez and the other people, smiling and taking it lightly. It's just when you're watching it as a viewer, you're not thinking of him as a manager and his employee. You're thinking about a CEO representing a company. Should he be talking like that to his employee? Definitely not, especially not on camera.
Was that sort of a very Asian response, though, sort of politely, this isn't happening, where in the West somebody would go, hey, man, come on, you shouldn't be talking to your employees like that?
Well, either way, he would get in trouble. Even if, somebody stepped in and said something, it would still be as viral as it is now.
I think the problems that beset the discount airline, any airline industry in the world, the last thing people should be worrying about is the F word in a Zoom call. Anyway, that was the big trending story in social media yesterday. Let's have a quick break, Jay, and then we're going to get into the comments, your comments from the past 24 hours. Let's check out the regional headlines.
China's working mothers struggle with career setbacks and discrimination. Finding a balance is a false premise. Australian Prime Minister Scott Morrison says vaccinations alone will not end Sydney's COVID-19 lockdown. In Malaysia, opposition claims lack of equipment at Malaysia's COVID-19 vaccination centers as cases surge. 24 Hong Kong domestic workers are arrested over alleged money laundering scheme led by some Nigerian scammers. Death haunts self-isolating patients as a COVID tsunami engulfs Indonesia. 47,791 COVID infections on Wednesday.
Welcome back to Good Morning Thailand, Thursday's program with Tim and Jay. Now, let's, before we go into the comments, I love this photo of a durian truck caught under an overpass. Now, the fact that it's a durian truck just makes it just a little bit funny. Durian is sort of this fruit that's very popular in Asia. Apparently, it tastes very good. I can't get past the smell personally.
It has a very strong smell, yes.
Are you a durian fan?
I like it, yes. I don't mind the smell, and it tastes, tastes good.
Apparently, very popular, but it reminds me of an intersection in Melbourne where this happens all the time. My home city of Melbourne, there's an underpass in a road called King Street, and this overpass has become famous for half a century for trucks getting caught under it almost every day. And there's signs all around it and there's warnings every 100 metres before you get to it. Are you higher than this? And every day trucks still get caught under it. So when I saw this, it made me remember these crazy truck drivers getting caught under this overpass. But I suppose it wouldn't be too difficult. Obviously, I think that truck was a little bit overloaded.
Yes. Well, I'm at least in Melbourne. I guess the harder you try, the more likely it is to happen. So, but in Thailand, I'm not sure if the weight of it and the size of the truck, if it's regulated. So this one probably got stuck because it was carrying a lot more than it probably should be.
Now to your comments, and we're starting with a comment from Chandler Bing Bong, and he said, "Why is Jet saying hello at the end of the show? This is the end of yesterday's Thailand News Today."
Thank you everyone for watching, and Sawadee krap.
Okay, so what did Jet say at the end of there? He says Sawadee krap.
Sawadee krap.
But that is hello and goodbye.
Yes, it's more of a greeting rather than, you can say it when you enter, when you leave. You could even say it in the middle of a conversation. It wouldn't make sense, but...
Right, so there's nothing wrong. What's another way of saying goodbye in Thai?
Well, you could say, like, if you're talking to a friend, like, เจอกัน, which is see you later, or, see you tomorrow, เจอกันพรุ่งนี้.
What's lagon?
Sorry?
Lagon?
เจอกัน
Lagon.
Lagon.
What does that...
I don't know.
Doesn't that mean goodbye? Lagon.
I've never
Lagon.
heard that before.
I got my tones right.
But perhaps I don't understand the tone.
Jason says it's perfectly good.
Is it? I apologize.
It means goodbye?
Yes.
There you are. Lagon.
Okay.
Yeah, there you go. I'm teaching you some Thai.
Thank you, Tim. Every day I keep learning from you.
Some comments about a headline yesterday that says the Thai PM predicts current COVID crisis will be over in 2 to 3 weeks, 4 at the most. Had 170 replies on Thaiger Talk. Thanks for all those people getting or registering on Thaiger Talk, which is our comment section on thethaiger.com. Sachi says, I seriously doubt any independent qualified scientific or medical expert would agree with this assessment. Triple Bogey says, could this be double speak? If in the next 2 or 3 weeks we go into total lockdown, it would fit the parameters of his statement. But Colin Neal had nothing to do with that, and he said, the man is a total plonker. His words, that's from Colin. He's been saying that for months, everything's under control. If what is being reported in the news is under control, well, words fail me. Thank you to all your comments there about that particular story from the Thai PM. Colin's words about the PM were his and not ours. You got some comments too.
I took some comments from yesterday's show from Good Morning Thailand and Thailand News Today. I have a comment here from Alan Simon who says, I read that most of the new infections in Phuket are from domestic travelers, not brought in by those from the Sandbox program. If that's true, stop domestic travel to the island. It isn't the fault of the Sandbox program. Now, what do you think about that, Tim? I think there's some truth in that. It's not necessarily the problem of the Sandbox program because the people traveling through the Sandbox are, they're tested before. And yes, some of them do test positive after a couple of days, but those are the ones that are, properly vetted almost.
Yeah, it's a tiny proportion.
Yes.
But there have been a lot of people trying to get back onto the island to find work.
Yes.
Coming in from other provinces, and some of them appear to have been bringing the virus onto the island.
Exactly.
So, the great thing about Phuket, it is an island and they can control it to an extent. But it looks like, perhaps not so much now, but in the weeks before, the northern border at Tachachai checkpoint was a bit leaky.
Exactly. I mean, he has a point, but, they also have to find a balance. They can't allow international travelers in and not their own people from different provinces. That wouldn't be right. Another comment here from Bob Junior from yesterday's Thailand News Today. The people lining up to register for COVID vaccines are not social distancing. The failure to allow people to ring or apply online and book in for vaccinations is putting thousands at risk. And Leif Kuhlberg further implied that from the pictures you can see that always the idea of keeping social distancing is something that's not working in Thailand. Not even officials seem to care. No wonder it's spreading way faster than necessary. Again, there is some truth into that. When I went to get my vaccine, at certain parts of while I was waiting for the vaccine, there was social distancing. But as you get closer to the vaccine, the social distancing seemed to get shorter and shorter, and to the point where I was literally standing behind someone. So, fair point.
Yeah, obviously the vaccine rollout is not completely smooth. And when people are in these locations, they could be in a rush, they're keen to be vaccinated, they might have other anxieties. It's not an ideal situation, but I think the worst problem in Bang Sue, the photo we saw earlier in the program, was just saying, just turn up, don't have to register, just come along. And that caused, I think, those problems.
Yeah. Well, currently everyone has an opinion and everyone wants to give their own solution. But at this time, I would just recommend everyone to please don't panic. I mean, the cases are surging, infections are surging, deaths are surging in upwards.
So giving us reasons not to panic.
No, what I mean is decisions made in panic are bad decisions. We need health officials and people in charge to make the right decision. So I would say don't panic and just take your time to make the right decision and not keep on changing every time you feel like a change needs to be made.
Okay, well said. All right, we're going to check the weather now, and then we'll come back and say goodbye. In the capital today, generally clear air. We've got temperatures between 32 and 34. Overcast skies up there. Down to Phuket and the Sandbox, the temperature's around 29 degrees. We've got some clear skies, the sun peering through, and the odd shower. Certainly a big thunderstorm coming through last night. Heading up to the northeast, we've got light winds, we've got moderate air quality. Temperatures around 31 to 32, overcast in the northeast. To the north in Chiang Mai with moderate air conditions as well. Today we've got a top temperature of 29 degrees, heading up to 31 by Saturday, and we've got some rain, some cloud and some sunshine for the next 3 days. To the central Gulf Coast and the Cha Am Hua Hin area, good air quality, usually the best around the country, and we've got a top temperature of 31 today, heading up to 32 by Saturday, generally overcast skies, and Banglamung around the Pattaya area, and we've got good air quality. Today's top temperature of 30 with a little bit of sunshine peering through, much the same on Friday and Saturday as well. Good morning, Thailand. That was the weather, and that's the show. Jay, thanks very much.
Thank you for having me, Tim.
And we'd like to finish with our big fireworks display. No, we won't do that. And we'll finish, though, by moving the plant. We'll move it over here. What's his name? Ken.
Is it getting in the way, Tim?
No, I don't think so. I think it's perfectly placed. I think it's nice framing. So thank you very much for joining us on the program today. We will see you tomorrow with another edition, our last of the week. We'll see you then.
See you then.
See you then.